Hello and welcome to Blue Army TV. I'm sitting at Carlisle, have drawn 0-0 at home to Northampton in what was not necessarily the most exciting game of football to watch in the world. It's another game we've gone now without scoring. I think that's something like 5 in our last 6 we haven't scored a goal, which is not necessarily the best form to be in when coming towards the end of the season with 4 games left. Look, I'm very divided on whether we need to seriously address, to seriously consider ourselves in a bit of a problem at the minute. Because on one hand, you're not getting beat. On the other hand, though, you can't score goals. And if you're going to get promoted, which is definitely the aim for this season, you need to start scoring some goals. Because it's quite simple. You can't win games if you don't score goals. We can't lose if we don't concede any. But do the fans of Carlisle really want to be showing up every week to watch 0-0s? Not really. You've had a fantastic crowd last week, 13,000. Another fantastic crowd of over 8,000 today. And we just can't score, and it's really frustrating because we're so good defensively now. Thomas Oley had another good game as well. I want to address him. A player that I slated a lot towards the start of the season. He's having a really good few games now, and he's in really good form. Absolutely solid for the last few games now. A couple of really good saves. One that I thought was offside, but looking back on it in the highlights, it probably wasn't. And he makes a very good one-on-one save. It's a 2-on-1. They square it. And Thomas Oley makes himself big and pulls off a really good save. He had a diving save to make as well earlier on in the game. But, he's been really good. Our defence has been really good this season. And it's becoming really good now. And we're in very good defensive form. We just can't score. And look, I don't know how much to say about it because we were at one point one of the best free-flowing attacking teams in the league, and we were top goal scorers in the league for a large portion of the season. We've got one of the league's top goal scorers in Christian Dennis on 20 goals now, and yet at the minute we just can't seem to put the ball in the back of the net. There was one that arguably crossed the line today that the referees didn't give. Shock horror, a decision going against Carlisle, who'd have thought, but you can't really rely on that too much. There was some decent chances. We just can't score, and I don't know what it is. I don't even think we're creating enough chances for our strikers. Christian Dennis is a really good goal poacher, and he just hasn't been given the opportunity. The cross is always overhit. As good as Moxon's been this season, his set pieces have been woeful lately. Corners overhit, free kicks overhit. Passes in the box, they always miss that last pass, and whether it's Amari Patrick getting it to the byline and cutting back, always to an opposition player. Whenever we're in and around the box, we seem to be scared to take a shot, and we just keep passing it about until we eventually lose it. It's frustrating to watch. We've lost that attacking killer instinct. And look, I wouldn't, and it's debatable whether we aren't a problem at the minute, because look, dropping down into the playoffs, yes, it's disappointing where we've been this season, where we've been, a 4 or 5 points clear into second, to now be dropping all the way down to 5th, could drop down into 6th if Bradford win their game in hand, I believe, or somebody with their game in hand below us. But look, playoffs, we would have absolutely taken it at the start of the season, but when you've tasted that top 3, dropping down into the playoffs now is a bit of a letdown, and we're in bad form at the minute, and look, teams will go through bad form, but we've got 4 games of the season left now. That's 12 points to aim for. We're on 71. 83 points comfortably gets you into the top 3, and there's still plenty to play for. We're playing some difficult teams as well. We're playing Stockport, who we need to beat to get above them. We're playing a decent Barra team, in the Cumbrian Derby. They'll all be up for it. We're playing a very good Salford team and a very good Sutton team the last day of the season. All 4 of those teams are big, almost, at the very least, playoff pushing teams. We're not playing any of the bottom teams coming into the season. We've got a very difficult run-in, but you can also say they're the teams that we need to beat if we want to be in a good position. Like we at times this season we've earned the right to be in a good position in the league. We just need to start scoring again. It's that simple. We're so good defensively now that teams can't beat us. We just need to start putting a few in the back of the net ourselves. Whether the answer's changing the strikers, I don't know. And look, Paul Simpson's admitted that it is a problem at the minute. He's addressed the problem, and he said that's what they need to get back. They need to get that killer instinct back. I think the answer might be putting Jordan Gibson back into midfield, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think if there was ever a game to not put Jordan Gibson right back, it would be when you're playing against wingers like what Northampton have got. Obviously Sam Hoskins, but also that Ginger fella on the other wing had a really good game as well. You're playing some of the most attacking sort of wingers in the league, and you play Jordan Gibson at right back. You know, every bone in my body would have told me to put Joel Senior there, a bit more of a defensive presence instead of a sort of attacking wing back. But when you play him against such difficult wingers like that to defend against, and he did a decent job as well of defending. When you do that, it's a real show of intent, a real show of trust in Jordan Gibson. I think that's probably what he's going to do till the end of the season now, assuming Jack Ellis and Finback won't be fit, which I don't think they will. I think we're going to see Jordan Gibson play at right back till the end of the season and not in the midfield role where he's enjoyed most of his success this season. And look, to be fair, who do you drop from that midfield? I think McCalmon's a very good player that I wouldn't drop. Owen Moxon. And Callum Guy's been one of our players of the season. I just think Moxon and McCalmont are too similar. I think they're both very, very good players and they've both played very, very well recently. But they're too similar, and I think you need an attacking presence like a Jordan Gibson or even a Jamie Devitt in there. And Jamie Devitt's been getting back into the sort of regularly being subbed on, which is nice to see. I'd maybe like to see him starting a couple over McCalmont because it's so harsh to drop McCalmont, but I don't think you can drop Mox, and I think you can only really play one of the two. Simo obviously disagrees with me, but that's my opinion on the matter. But yeah, look, we were really good defensively today. I think you could argue we were the better team. Stats don't agree, but when have stats ever told the full story? I think we had the better chances. We just can't put them away, and I think we just need to get that killer instinct back, and I think we will. I do trust the team this season. You know, this is a really good group of players that we haven't really seen the likes of at Carlisle for a long, long time. I saw we've already equalled Keith Curl's points tally when he had that amazing season in the 16-17 season, I think it was, where we got into the playoffs. We've already equalled that tally, and there's still 12 points to play for. We're still very much in the race for the automatics. It's just a shame that the entire top six is. But yeah. Another thing I want to mention as well, I went to Target Wrestling on Saturday, and I think the guy's called Ryan, who does the... he came back for the 10th anniversary thing, announcing between each fight. And he gave me a shout out for some reason, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see it coming. My mates insist that they didn't put him up to it, but yeah, very strange thing to happen, but it made my night. So if by the chance that you're listening to this, I think his name's Ryan, thank you very much for that. Yeah, it was a nice touch to the night. Nice after watching such a dross 0-0 anyways. But yeah, they're my thoughts anyways. Some positives, some negatives, but ultimately, as I seem to say every week now, it's still all to play for. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and in a bit.